All right, here we go. Let's do some takes in the car. This is just the way to record. It's the new professional way to record while you're driving. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson first. It's going to be a hot take. This is not going to be a conventional take whatsoever here. I do not believe that there is collusion to keep Lamar Jackson off of a roster. That doesn't even make sense to me. If anything, I think there is a shared belief that no player in the NFL is worth $200+ million guaranteed unless your name is Mahomes or Burrow. I don't think there's any other scenario where if I'm a GM, and I know I'm not, that I pay anyone $200 million. Lamar Jackson, last 2 seasons, 17 touchdowns throwing in the past 2 seasons, has missed games, and I think you need to accept the fact that missed games is going to happen with this guy. So you can say, oh, well, if he'd have played 17 games, oh, well, if he'd have played, you can say that all day long. I don't think it matters because I don't think you're going to see this guy play that many games. Maybe he will, but he's very far removed from an MVP season. A lot of folks are going to say, oh, he's only 2 years removed, 3 years removed from an MVP season. That's a long time in the NFL now. That is seriously an extremely long time in the NFL nowadays. It's too long, actually. So I don't buy into that, and I don't think that Lamar Jackson, even though he is a former league MVP, we put that tag on him way too much. We use that too much in this conversation. Honest to God, I think if I'm the Ravens, which I think this is their mindset, rather than pay a guy like Lamar Jackson $200+ million and then have to kind of cheapskate on the rest of your roster, I think that Tyler Huntley is a better value and a better chance at making your team a winning team. That's why I say Mahomes and Burrow, those guys can will your team to wins. I don't think Lamar Jackson is that guy. I don't think he's on that level. Like, he's a great player when he's on the field, kind of. Like, I don't know about the passing ability. I know he hasn't had the best receivers in the world, but the reason I say Mahomes and Burrow is because Mahomes just proved that you can win a Super Bowl, that he can win a Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill being on the field. So I think that is what is maybe the Ravens. I think that mindset and seeing guys like Burrow and Mahomes has really opened up the eyes of other GMs in the league. Like, if you don't have that guy, you're not going to have you're not going to have anyone worth paying $200 million. There's no one besides those two in my eyes right now. Not a single person. Mahomes, Burrow. Who else deserves $200 million? No one. Deshaun shouldn't have got it. Lamar shouldn't get it. Rodgers is too old for it. Justin Herbert, not there yet in my opinion, which luckily I don't, that time hasn't come quite yet. Maybe this year he can prove he's a guy that's worth something like that. But, man, I think it's now more time to think about complete team building rather than just one guy like a quarterback. I don't think you can do that anymore. I just don't think it's smart. And I think the Browns are really going to pay the price as the years go by for that. And any other team not called the Bengals or Chiefs, they're really going to feel the pain of those decisions. And I think anyone that signs Lamar to that kind of deal, I don't think your Super Bowl chances are going to be great, especially if an AFC team was to sign Lamar. To do what? Go out and potentially lose to Burrow, potentially lose to Mahomes every time? I'm just not real sure about that. I know that the Ravens almost beat the Bengals in the playoffs with Huntley, but I don't think 100% they would have won with Lamar. Lamar's shown, that he doesn't always come through and win those big games. It just doesn't happen. His MVP season, he didn't win a Super Bowl. I mean, a Super Bowl winning team, I think you have to have one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the league right now anyways, like the way it's going in the AFC. NFC, maybe a team like the Commanders will want to pay him $200 million. I don't want to pay anyone $200 million, but yeah, just my take. I think if I'm the Ravens, I think I want those 2 firsts or some kind of trade for Lamar. I don't want to pay him, and I think if you're a team in the NFL, I think right now, those cheap veteran backups and a rookie sitting behind them, I think I would probably do that every 5 years until I got a Mahomes or Burrow-like guy. There's going to be a lot of good quarterbacks in the league for a long time, but there's not going to be, the Bradys of the world. Like Brady played on teams like, not like Mahomes, but Brady played on teams with no great stars at wide receiver, no big-time stars at running back. Like Brady played on well-built teams, and Brady was the de facto reason that they won a lot of those Super Bowls. I don't see Lamar as the guy that can do that. I just don't. So, to me, unless you've got that guy, worry about the other 51 players on your team. I think the roster's a different size now. I'm old, damn it. But I just don't see it. Not a good idea. Let's talk about some of the free agent signings already. I am a Dolphins fan, so we're going to start out on that, I guess. They signed Mike White just a little bit ago, and I've been clamoring for a really good backup in Miami. Now, by really good, I mean somebody that could potentially, keep this team on a winning track. Teddy Bridgewater was not that. He looked very uninterested, and I think he has proven that he is uninterested in football. Like, it's what's going to provide him the best paycheck as a backup, but I just don't think he's into it. I don't think he likes it. I think that's why you saw Skylar Thompson continue to start games. And Skylar Thompson I like a lot, but he's not ready. The Dolphins are built to win now with the trade of Jalen Ramsey yesterday. They've been built to win, but they're going in a great direction. You don't want to trust that whole operation to a Teddy Bridgewater. So them bringing in Mike White, who I actually think plays really well. Like, he's kind of scattershot. He's kind of Brett Favre-like. Don't get me wrong. Poor man's Brett Favre-like. Like, he can, he's a bit aggressive, and sometimes it comes back to bite him. I don't think his development is all the way done. Like, I think he is a great guy to possibly back up to and spot start games if need be. I was kind of hoping for Jameis Winston, because I'll take those interceptions with the touchdowns. I think Jameis with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, that could have been really good if Tua were to get injured again. But ultimately that did not happen. I saw that he was linked to the Broncos, but the Broncos signed Jarrett Stidham, which is, that's fine. That's okay. Case Keenum, I think, signed with the Texans. I want to say that's like his second go-around. I'm going to focus on offense right now. The Texans signed Mike Boone, who was a running back for the Vikings and looked pretty good a few years ago. I think he was out all year last year. What else do we got here? Garoppolo to the Raiders. Depending on what the Raiders do, I think Garoppolo's a nice fit. Ultimately, I think Josh McDaniels will need to be fired for this team to ever gain any traction. I'll never believe in Josh McDaniels. I don't think it's ever going to work out with him and another team. Just don't see it. I think he's just a product of Tom Brady, a product of the Patriots. I just don't think he'll ever be a winning coach in the NFL. That's just my personal opinion. But Garoppolo is a nice get for the Raiders. I actually think that he might fit in better than Carr. Not for any reason in particular. I think as players, they're sort of similar. I think Carr's upside is more. But I think Carr will do well with the Saints, and I think Garoppolo will do well with the Raiders. Now, the Raiders definitely should draft a quarterback. I don't know if that's Will Levis. I don't know if they move up for a guy like C.J. Stroud. I think Stroud would be a great guy to get in there, but I don't want to see him as a McDaniels guy. So I kind of hope that doesn't happen. If I'm the Raiders, if I was running the Raiders, which is a terrible idea, I probably would wait to draft a quarterback, because I think they are going to suck real bad this year. I don't think they're going to win very many games. I think McDaniels will be fired. So why draft a quarterback now only for him to have to go through to a second head coach in his second year? I would just hold out for Caleb Williams, shoot for that next year. I don't want to say tank, but I think they'll lose just fine on their own. So still, if they do surprise, Garoppolo is a nice signing for them, in my opinion. I think that's a good signing to possibly be competitive. Not enough ultimately, but I don't think the Raiders think they've got enough. I don't know. But you got to do something. You can't just let your fan base. They had nobody. And Garoppolo's going to miss games too, but you can't just let your fan base be like, oh, we're going to sign Teddy Bridgewater and just roll with him. Not going to work. Raiders fans going to be upset. You'll make no money in your stadium. Garoppolo at least gives you the chance to sell some tickets, I guess. Let's see. What else do we got here? I had a whole bunch of these in my head. Did Chargers release Donald Parham? I think that's a good option for the Dolphins to go grab after getting rid of Hunter Long. We'll see how that goes, though. The Browns restructured Deshaun Watson's contract. Still one of the dumbest moves I've seen in a long time. Stidham, like I said, that happened. The Panthers would be willing to move Matt Golden Corral. I don't fucking know. But they're willing to move him. Of course they are. They got the number 1 pick. Why wouldn't you move him? He had the Liz Frank injury last year, so the trade value is going to be very minimum there. But who knows? In a quarterback-needy league, somebody may want to give up a 5th or 6th rounder for that potential. So we might see somebody make the move there. Cortland Sutton rumored to be on the trade block. Kind of can't blame them there. They need to do something to free up some money and get some assets for the future. The Ravens released Calais Campbell. I said I'd stick to offense, but I haven't. Austin Eckler wants to be traded because they can't come to an agreement there in Los Angeles. The Bucs have shown interest in Jacoby Brissett. So now you've got Brissett and Baker Mayfield both linked to the Buccaneers. From the Buccaneers, I think that Baker Mayfield is a solid possible option there. Maybe you sign Brissett and Baker. Like I think in today's NFL, again, if you don't have that Mahomes or Burrow guy, you maybe just want to consider having the best 2 quarterback options that are on the market. Maybe you draft a rookie. If I don't have a quarterback in the league, I'm probably going to draft a couple quarterbacks. I'm going to pull the Kirk Cousins RG3 thing and have one of those guys as a 3rd string rookie to learn, and then I'm going to sign 2 guys like a Baker Mayfield and a Jacoby Brissett. Like, yeah, they're not great, but they can be effective. I wouldn't even be afraid to pull the old Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jameis Winston rule of hot hand plays, and when you get cold, you come out. So that's something I think could be in play for a lot of teams in the league. Let's face it, there's a lot of quarterbacks that have come and gone, and there's not a lot of great ones left. So I think you got to make do with situations that you can create that could help you actually be successful. And I think that's one of them. I really like the Brissett-Baker idea. I just don't know if the idea there is to get them both or to just get one or the other. Not sure, but it's not a bad plan, in my opinion. Jonnu Smith got traded from the Patriots to the Falcons. You got Kyle Pitts. I guess that's just a depth thing. Jonnu Smith has fallen really far, sadly. Tim Hortons no longer has Cold Stone Creamery as part of their setup in some select locations. That makes me sad. Cold Stone Creamery was delicious. The Vikings signed Josh Oliver, tight end Josh Oliver, to a 3-year, $21 million deal. That's a lot of money for that guy. Not sure how I feel about it. He played okay when he was on the field, and I've been a fan of Josh Oliver since he came out of San Jose State, I believe. I thought he could be a good player, but injuries have been the problem there. Vikings, not worried about it. Little breaking news here. As of 2:46 p.m., supposedly the Aaron Rodgers to the Jets deal is done. And I mean done by Rodgers has signed off on it, fully done. I guess we will see. But that looks to be a possibility that is done. That was coming from Trey Wingo, that Rodgers and the Jets are now a thing. And we'll end it with that. I may come back and do another quick release this afternoon, but for those of you who don't have time to read and you just want to hop in your car and hear some news and hear a take on Lamar Jackson, I figured I'd just throw that out there while I was pussyfooting around town to get me a Jamocha milkshake from Arby's. Show is not sponsored by Arby's, but I wish they were because I love the meats.